In the previous lesson of the course, we started to work with the rendering in Rhino using cycles, which is a relatively new render engine in Rhino. And so we started with the really basic materials and lights and environment. And so we're gonna go more into specific notions and techniques and tools and commands, etc. So this is the previous lesson where we started to define an interior using also PBR materials, so physically based render materials in cycles, and also again we played a little bit with lights. So in this video I want to concentrate in the lights, and we're going to create a 3D studio setup, so for product visualization or Prodviz. So we're gonna create a photographic studio, really easy, and put some lights in there, really basic. And so I'm gonna start here with this scene that I developed also using Enscape. So this is like proxies from Enscape to create lights and everything. And what I do is take this table and chairs that we modeled before in the course, and I'm gonna export it with the origin. I'm gonna choose the middle as the origin. We can specify a precise point, and you can see here I've already exported it and called it Prodviz table chairs. And I'm gonna use this file to show you what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna open it, and there you go. So you can see I've isolated here everything. Let me zoom here, and we still have a proxy here that I'm gonna leave because it works like a generic 3D model that can be used in a visualization if you want. I'm gonna get rid of these lights at the top because we don't need them. I mean the 3D model, but I think I'm gonna keep these 3 lights just for the beginning here, just to show you what's gonna happen. So there's nothing in here. I didn't set up anything. So if I run a render, let's see what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna select the view that I want, and I'm just gonna switch to the basic render, and this is what we're gonna see, which is the light coming from those 3 lights up there. And the material are not so good, and everything is kind of fake. But this is the basic render view in Rhino. So if we go to Raytraced, we will start to use cycles. We can see it down here, and it gets just a little bit better. Now the lights are probably too strong here. So what I'm gonna do is, to manage the lights, is go into the lights panel, and you can open again these panels going to the render, and you find everything here. So the creation of lights and the various panels here, and then later on we will see also some effects and things like that. So here I can turn on and off the various lights. I can change the color, the intensity, and also here this is pretty bright because I'm using the sunlight. Now we don't really need the sunlight on a studio, so I'm going to turn that off. We're going to use it later on an exterior. And the skylight perhaps is too strong, it's like 1. So let's put this like to 0. Okay, now this strange thing happens here because we are still receiving light from the surrounding, but this looks pretty black. Well, let's turn everything off, also this other one. So we don't see much here. It's pretty dark. The objects are pretty dark, but we still see the white background there because we don't only need to take care of these lights, we also need to take care of the environment, which is this tab right here that I'm gonna move here. Okay, so right now this is the studio we're using, and also we go to the render settings to do some adjustments here. So current render, yes, Rhino render with cycles, view, resolution and quality. Now I suggest you start with a low quality, and then once you finish, you move into the final quality. So let's keep it low quality and pretty fast because this is a real-time rendering and it's gonna be really hard for your computer. So don't use high quality every time. Use low quality all the time except for the final render. So let's keep it low quality. And this is the background. So first of all, let's think about the background. Do we want a solid color for our rendering? So in that case, I'm just gonna put like this one here. And do we want a gradient going from a color to another? Or do we want to use a 360 environment? But right now it's black. So we can put also no environment. And this is like the default basic aligning that we have. And we also have some shadows, as you see down there at the bottom. Also, an additional thing I would like to do is go to the display and turn off the curve, because otherwise, if you have curves in there, you will see it in the rendering or in the preview, and you don't really want that, so just turn them off. So let's go back here. So we can use a background for having something back in there and not just the plain white color. So we can add more. We can go to the basic environments. And also we can apply that for the reflections. So everything will look better. The ground plane on, so we have shadows. But since we're going to construct a studio, I can also turn this off. And then the lighting. So do we want to use the sun or the skylight? Well, let's use the skylight. And again, it's black, so let's change it to basic environment. So now we have what is called environment lighting. We don't have a ground plane, but let's construct quickly the studio. So to construct the studio, I'm just going to go in the polyline and choose the correct view, which in my case is going to be this. And just going to draw like a L shape. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here to the X axis, and then I'm going to go all the way here like this, and then right click. So I'm creating a backdrop that you see in the studios. So to do that, I'm going to add a fillet. I'm going to put 1 meter fillet or 100 centimeters. Click on one side, on the other, and there you go. But this is just a curve, so we cannot see it here. We need to make it a surface. So I'm going to push this aside, and then I'm going to go to extrude curve command. And of course, if you're having problems in general with Rhino, you can check the Rhino video course. And now we have a backdrop that we can use for our rendering with a nice fade here due to the fillet. So we don't need a ground plane right now. And then we can go to the lights. Now, if we want, we can change the type of environment, even though I don't care about the environment right now because I'm going to use a backdrop. But if you want more, you can go to the import from environment library, and you're going to have an entire library that you can pick from. So you can see you have many types of studios. So if you select one of these, let's turn off now the backdrop. Let's hide the backdrop. So you can see, again, you can use this for just for the background, or you can use it also for the reflections. And you can use it also for the lighting. So this is called IBL, or image-based lighting, when you use just an image to do all the job. And this image is called an environment map or an environment texture. And again, you have more to simulate interiors, exteriors, etc., etc. So just pick one, and you can also choose one just for the background, or you can use it together for reflections and for lighting, or you can just mix and match. Now, to do a good like photo montage in a way, you need to choose some image that is good for your subject, for your product, or wherever you're creating, and then just try to set the correct overlapping of the two things. Okay, but let's bring back the backdrop because we're not going to use this. So I'm going to show the objects, and we're going to have a backdrop, but we can still use